This episode is brought to you by Never Second. Never Second is a system of fueling products formulated specifically for endurance athletes that provides a blueprint for success by allowing the athletes to test, optimize, and perfect their fueling and hydration. They take the guesswork out of performance fueling. I personally use Never Second on all of my training runs and my races, and I have no GI issues, and you know exactly how many carbohydrates you're taking in based on the names of the products themselves. If you want to try Never Second out, go ahead and use code SUBHUB25 to get 25% off of your purchase. Welcome to the SubHub podcast. I'm EmKay Sullivan.
And I'm Dani Moreno. And today we got a loaded episode. We're going to do a recap of Sierre Zinal, the 50th running of it. There were some huge surprises, that's for sure. So we're going to cover a lot of those, both on the men's and the women's side. I know for me personally, watching the live stream was incredibly exciting. So we'll definitely dive into that. And then we also are going to share with you guys kind of what our game plan is for the rest of the month with EmKay and I going over to Chamonix, both to be running OCC and to be there with our teams. And so, yeah, just what those episodes are going to look like and the content schedule, etc. So yeah, we're very excited. This is a crazy month. First thoughts of Sierre Zinal, maybe like 2 words to describe it.
Just like mind blown. I think Corinne Malcolm sent us this the mind blown emoji when we put on the Instagram that Sophia had won. Like both on the men's and the women's side, just like so many unexpected things for me. What about you?
Yeah, same. I feel like the race delivered in maybe some of the drama that some of us maybe were somewhat expecting. A lot of favorites maybe not really nailing the race on race day. And then, Sophia Lockley, we're going to talk about her many times this episode. But I think for everyone, we were just taken aback by her winning in like an incredible way. So that was really cool.
It was very dominant.
Yes. So let's start with the men's race. You want to share some of those results?
Yeah. So top 5 in the men's race, leading the charge was Philemon Kiriago-Umbogo of the Run Together team. He ran 2:27.27, which was the 3rd fastest time run on the course. Second was Patrick Kipnieno, his teammate, in 2:28.50, followed by Kevin Kibet, also from Kenya, in 2:34.16. And then Sylvain Cachard from France, 2:34.22, and Roberto Di Lorenzi from Brooks, 2:35.17. So pretty big time difference between first man and fifth man. We got almost 7 minutes there.
Yeah, definitely. With the men's race, and we'll just go through the rest of the top 10 really quick. Robbie Simpson was 6th. We did a episode with him on Sierre Zinal. I highly recommend checking it out. Even though the race has already happened, I'm a big Robbie fan. I think EmKay is a big Robbie fan too. So it was cool to see him get 6th in pretty much the same time.
Pretty much the same time as always. He still ran 2:35.59, and we joked with him about how he always runs 2:36. So at least he broke the barrier.
Thibaut Baronian, both big fans of Thibaut. Him and Robbie are probably some of the most consistent men in the sport year after year. So it's not surprising that they went 6-7. Xavier Chevrier was 8th. 9th was Vitaly Shafar, which we'll note upon in a second. And then we have Cesar Maestri, who was 10th. With the men's race, what was really interesting is from the get-go, we pretty much had a pack of Philemon and Patrick and Remy, who those were pretty much like the pre-race favorites. If you had listened to the episodes and dove into some results, etc. Patrick was coming off his back-to-back win in the VK at the World Championships. Umbogo is leading the World Mountain Running Association Cup right now, the Valsir Cup, which Patrick has been in a lot of those races. And Philemon is the only person to beat Patrick this year once. I forgot which race it was. So clearly he's in really good shape, and they train together. And then Remy Bonnet was a huge pre-race favorite, coming off a course record at Mont Blanc Marathon, coming off the incredible year he's had from, vertical in the ski mountaineering, but also just last year being super dominant in Golden Trail. So yeah, they took it off and they all looked great, honestly, on the entire climb. And it wasn't until after the climb that Remy started to kind of fade and not look great. I don't know exactly where he ended up dropping out of the race, but pretty much after the climb, to me, it was like the Philemon Patrick show. They looked so smooth, like all of the leaders in this race, but Philemon just looked like he was out, like running a road marathon. It was crazy.
I know. And I kept seeing like on the Instagram feed the morning of when I was watching, it was like, is Philemon going to get caught? And like, there was just, he held the gap so well. And then at the end of the race, he just like dropped the hammer.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy. I mean, it still was a pretty close race. 2:27:27 to 2:28:50. Philemon ended up running the third fastest time ever on this course. Who has the second fastest time? Is it Killian's time as well? He's first.
My guess would be probably also Killian. Yeah.
So in very good company. And actually, Philemon, Patrick, and Remy were about a minute off of the pace of Kilian Jornet's climb for his course record run. So for them to be, that close to his time actually makes sense when you look at it over the entire course. But yeah, something that stood out to me is that Philemon is only 21.
No, and it was his birthday. I was seeing on Instagram that it was like, happy birthday, Philemon. Here's this humongous win for your career.
Incredible.
And another crazy thing is this is the first time that a Kenyan has ever won this race, which is actually super surprising to me. For some reason, I just like assumed that an East African had won this already.
Yeah, I know. It's same. You kind of just go to a default that a Kenyan had already won. But yeah, that definitely has not been the case. And something that I really appreciated about Philemon is like he like stuck around afterwards, like a lot of times the winners will get whisked away and like start talking to media and stuff. And heck, we even got a clip on our sub hub, which is really cool. You should check it out. But yeah, he stuck around and shook people's hands. And there's like a couple of quotes of him post race, and you could just tell that he looks up to Patrick. Like he has the utmost respect for Patrick, which why wouldn't you? You're on the same team. Patrick is a little bit older than you. And so he thought Patrick was going to pass him at some point, but he took that chance around like 19K and ended up running away with the win, or he pushed a little bit more, I guess you could say, because he was always kind of in that front pack. And then vice versa, Patrick, being his teammate, gave Philemon like, hey, he won today. Good for him. I got second, but if anyone's going to beat me, it's going to be my teammate. And to me, this just like capitalizes on how I really think the sport is shifting, and that, we're starting to see with like brands, Terex, shameless plug there, has been doing it for a couple of years, but you see how it's paying off. And so now you have this team that like trains together who went to Austria and they all crushed. It's just, It's so cool.
Yeah. Cause if you guys listen to our preview episodes, Falaris Kasang, who is one of the women's podium, she's also on the Run Together team. And so like she gets to train with these guys all the time and some other crushers as well. And yeah, obviously it's working because they're in the sport now and they're not coming to mess around.
Yeah. I mean, literally they got every single podium place that you could get. Men went 1-2, Falaris got third. And I just hope that gets a lot of attention. I mean, if there was any brand that went 1-2 and got a third, they would be blowing it up on their social media. Yeah. But it's just the fact that, it's a different, maybe their social media aspect is a little bit different and stuff. But I guarantee if Solomon went like 1-2, like that'd be everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, even Solomon winning with Sophia Lockley, like they were all over that.
Yeah.
So I think that one of my big takeaways from this race, I was going to say this for the end, but I feel like we're already kind of talking about it, is just like, it's so exciting to have Africans and Asians in this race, like in the mainstream trail running world, because they bring so much more competition into this space that when we just keep it Eurocentric and like American, like it's not as fun. it's very cool to have so much diversity in this race, because obviously it elevates the competition to like a whole nother level.
Yeah, no, 100%. On the vein of that, one of my favorite battles that I watched in the men's race was between third and fourth. It was Kevin Kibet, who is pretty much an unknown runner. This is his first time racing outside of Kenya, gets third at the biggest trail race in the world. And then Sylvain Cachard, he's represented by Hoka, but he runs for France. And they were battling on the last downhill. I don't know about you, EmKay, but if I was battling on the last downhill for a podium spot, I would be like, all my senses would be heightened.
Yeah.
And they went back and forth like 4 times. It was crazy.
And honestly, to have a Kenyan come out on top over a Frenchman because it's not a technical downhill, but it's very steep and very slippery. Like, that's no joke.
Yeah.
Kevin Kibet is like, he's showing up, man. I'm impressed by that because like if you can pass a French person on a downhill like that, then you've got some confidence in your downhill legs. That's for sure.
Yeah. And
so,
his quote, no, just Kevin winning. His quote was, "Patrick is my coach and Philemon is my best friend." So imagine being on the podium. Oh my gosh, they just were probably all so elated. Obviously Kevin ended up winning, and then Sylvain. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, that
got
race.
the third.
Okay.
Yeah, he got third. And then Sylvain got fourth, which was. It was honestly Sylvain's best race of his career by far, considering the depth of the field, placing, etc. And something that I think is so cool, that this is one of the races where I feel like this works. There's potentially, I think, like UTMB, CCC, OCC. Basically, you want a course that's always the same and always has a lot of international depth and competition, but there was such a big deal made out of his time. And me and EmKay were chatting about this offline. So Sylvain now has the French course record at Sierre Zinal. And this is something that I learned about from Anthony Felber before the race, that they know the men's and women's fastest time. And like, how cool would that be if we had that for every nation, that when Sierre Zinal goes up and you can see like eight national records were broken this year, it doesn't need the validation, but it does give that extra prestige of, X amount of records were broken this year.
It definitely makes it more exciting. Like it shows you on the screen, like how much competition is in that race, right? Like when Faith Kipyegon broke the world record in the mile, like 6 or 7 other area and national records were broken on the same day. And when they put those results up on the screen, immediately you see AR, NR, like, whatever. And it shows you like, okay, Faith Kipyegon elevated this to here, but like, so did everybody else. And so, you have Sophia Lockley finishing and you see like American record for Sierre Zinal. Like that would be really cool.
It'd be so cool. And I think it would, add to, the Golden Trail's really good at this, like making excitement no matter what the result is. They find some little data point. They'll be like, Manuel ran 50 miles per hour downhill, fastest downhill after, even though he might get like 10th or something. They're really good at that. And I feel like this would just add to it and maybe add some validation. And Sierre Zinal having the history that it does, I think would be like the perfect start of that potentially, which would be really cool. So we don't know what the men's would, but maybe Sophia, she does now have the Americans women record, which I think would be cool to like keep that going. But
the men's American record probably isn't going to get beat for a while. We got Pablo Vigil.
He probably has the fastest time. Yeah, we'd have to double check that. So men's side, we also have 5, 6, 7. Roberto Dellorenzini honestly was like a huge surprise to me. He is another Brooks runner. Brooks is coming in hot this year for the Golden Trail World Series, but he got 5th. In an incredible time, 2:35.17. Our top American man, this I just think is awesome. Jeff Mogavero, he runs for On. He like legit is a full-on ultra runner and is our first American man in 14th place. What do you think about that, EmKay?
I was blown away by that. Maybe it's the fact that he trains with like Adam and Aaron in Missoula, and they've got their like little track speed or something. But I mean, yeah, this guy, I mean, he was 7th at Transvolcania 100K. He was 3rd at the Puerto Vallarta 100 miler. He was 16th at UTMB last year. Like, he's crushing in these longer distances. And I'm curious, I imagine he's probably running one of the UTMB races. I just, I don't know which one. But to get top 20 at Sierre Zinal is no joke to begin with. But to do it as like an ultra guy, I'm impressed. Hats off.
Yeah, same. I love that. I think it too is just like another testament that it never hurts to jump in these shorter races, even if it's out of your comfort zone.
Killian does it all the time.
Killian does it all the time. And it only, sharpens your tools in your tool shed. But yeah, 14th is something to definitely be proud of. Top 15 at, one of the deepest shorter races.
I mean, Killian got 5th last year, maybe 6th. I can't remember. He got outkicked by Petro in that weird little way at the very end. And then, 2 weeks later went on to win UTMB. So like, yeah, like Dani said, it can't hurt. It's just a really, really good workout.
Yeah. And so I did look it up. He is running UTMB.
Oh, damn. All right, Jeff.
And maybe he took a page out of Killian's book. He was like, what?
Killian did it.
Yeah. We'd love to know if that is actually the truth. And so, yeah, continuing to go down, Robbie Simpson, like we said, Mr. Consistency, Thibaut Baronian, also Mr. Consistency. They could probably share that crown in the world. But something we did want to note that we have not great feelings about is 9th place, Vitaly Shafa. He represents Ukraine. I found this on Twitter. I think it was Liam from Aid Station Fireball. I can't find the tweet anymore. So thanks for bringing this up, Liam. Is he actually has been caught in the past. He got a sanction for
he was suspended for 3 years and 7 months.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I'm struggling to find the words. Starting in 2017. So that's a huge bummer.
That means he came out of his like provisional or his suspension at the end of 2021 because it was January 2017 for an athlete biological passport violation. And it's just like, yeah, maybe that was 2021 or 2017, I guess. All of his results since April 2014 have been disqualified. So from April 2014 to whenever he was suspended, like that's a long time to have been, I don't know. It's just with training and stuff. I mean, Dani, you know this, like you just get such a benefit, even if he was only doping for 3 years, like the benefit that you get from that is so much more than like what people who are just regularly training get. It's like so obnoxious. And yeah, I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, because we dove into Sierre Zinal definitely like updated their doping policy. And now it says in quotes, Sierre Zinal has been fighting against all forms of doping for many years by systematically ordering doping tests WADA for the runner category. I don't know how much that holds up true. The doping controls will be maintained in collaboration with WMRI by World Athletics. But the one that like really was tripping us out is you have to sign a contract, and it says in the event of proven doping, it like says this at the top of Article 49. The athlete in question is obliged to listen to the Swiss Code of Obligations and give back anything. So they need to reimburse Sierre Zinal, etc. But then if you go down, it says, if the participant is found to be doping as a result of positive tests clarified out 3 months before or after the Sierre Zinal race, that really to me is like not enough time.
Yeah, you just stopped doping 3 months before and you only run Sierre Zinal. Like,
yeah.
and obviously you'd have to stop doping a little bit more before 3 months, but like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But if you got a positive test 3 months before or after, so 3 months before, so he technically is allowed to run, but like EmKay said, if you're doping for, a year, it gives you a huge advantage. So anyways, we wanted to bring that up, because it makes it a little bit more complicated, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I tried to look up like my UTMB profile, but I think this may be one of his only trail races. And one of the, like, I guess when people are looking at Sierre Zinal, at least when I look at Sierre Zinal, maybe not everybody feels this way, but it definitely invites doping in some senses, because it's a trail race that some people run but don't do other trail races. And so like you could see how that might be like, oh, somebody's doping during some part of the year and then they run this one trail race because there's money. So like it's just, yeah, it's an interesting find on just, yeah, I don't even know how to say it, because it blows my mind that he was ninth.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Yeah, but
and top 10 at this race is a huge deal. So
yes,
you take him out, 11th place moves up, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, well,
enough of the negative there.
Yeah. Something I did want to bring up too before we move over to the women's race is, with Remy not finishing the race, that gives him only one result up until this point. He's only done, he did Zagama too. But a lot of people were expecting him to move into the first place spot in the overall rankings. He is coming to America, where he crushed last year. So I'm sure he'll be fine as far as points wise. But because of that, he still sits in sixth in the overall men's ranking. Manuel Marias is in first, and he's holding that spot. But, I have my eyes on Roberto Dell'Orenzini. He's in ninth, and I don't know if he's coming to America. It'd be really cool if he is, but I could see him moving up. So, yeah. Shall we?
I wish that we already had the names for like everybody who's coming to America.
I know. So yeah, any more thoughts on the men's race?
No, I don't think so, other than the fact that, Kenya goes 1, 2, 3. That's so cool. Honestly, did not expect that. Like I definitely expected both Patrick and Philemon to be in the top 5 at least. But yeah, I thought that was really cool, and just a testament to like how diversity in this sport really helps.
Yeah, no, 100%. And something I forgot I did want to touch upon was all the people that we interviewed. So Remy ended up dropping out despite being a big pre-race favorite. I haven't seen anything besides he just said he didn't feel good. I'm not sure if he'll share much more past that, like if it was his stomach that turned, I don't know. But he ended up not finishing the race. Robbie Simpson was actually our top finisher from our pre-race interviews. He was 6th. Eli Hemming ended up getting 15th, literally right behind Jeff, like less than 20 seconds behind Jeff for that first place men's spot. And there's actually a real clip on our Instagram interviewing the Hemmings, and they crack me up. They're just so funny. But they're both just laughing at the fact that it's been a rough race. And I don't know, personally, I appreciate that sometimes after a rough race, you just like don't want to talk to anybody. But they were, I'm sure they maybe felt a little bit more or down after that. But that was pretty funny to see. And then Francesco Pupi, very similar. We had a reel with him also. And I think he finished like not in the top 100,
90th or something.
Yeah. And that's just the men. Like there's definitely some women that passed him too. And he said he felt terrible, also with a little bit of lightheartedness. Oh, sorry. Robert was our top Patrick was, sorry, second. And I think that was all of them, right? Am I missing anybody?
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, I loved Francesco's like post-race little clip that we had of him, as well as like his post-race Instagram post. I think it's really important that like people talk about their bad races, because a lot of times, like, I know I'm guilty of this. I'm just like, well, it was a bad day. We'll come back better next time. Great job, everybody. But he was like, yeah, I really enjoyed his post-race thoughts, because it doesn't always, it's never going to go right all the time. If it does, I don't know, something's a little fishy.
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh, sorry, Anthony Felber also ended up 18th. I know his goal was to get the French time, but still a good finish there. But yeah, I think, and we'll probably touch upon this a little bit more in a second with the women's race, but like bad races to me tend to make more, personally, I feel like it makes stories a little bit more interesting sometimes versus when someone's just like has a near perfect career. I think it's important for the best of us to also struggle and to like share that, in whatever way you see.
I think you learn a lot more from your bad races than you do from your good races.
Totally. No, agree.
But I guess it also just depends. So let's chat about the women's race. You want to go through some results real quick?
Yes. American hero. That's the least of it. Sophia Lockley ended up on top. She has ran the third fastest time after Maud's 2 winning times in 2019 and 2022. We know this might have gotten a little confusing in the preview with Dylan because the prize money adds $1,000 each year. But in 2020 and 2021, the courses were actually different. In 2020, it was shortened due to like the specialness of the race, being during COVID times and stuff like that. And then in 2021, they took the tourist route instead of the normal route. Robbie Simpson let us know this, and it like took off just a little bit of time. So the two other fastest times are actually Maud Mathis's winning times from 2019 and 2022. Sophia has the third fastest time in this very historic race. So huge win for her. I guess I'll just dig a little. Should we keep going on her? Or should I just run through the results?
Let's run through the results and then we'll come back. Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot to say there. Second was Joyce Njiro. She's a Kenyan runner from On Running. She actually used to run with Run Together. She was teammates with Valeris last year. A lot of people actually didn't know she was showing up until she was actually there. So that's pretty awesome. Comes out and gets second place. We have Valeris Kasang, who was one of our preview episodes. She was third. And then another one of our preview episodes, Meow Yow. Dang, maybe we have some magic up in here.
On the women's side, apparently.
Yeah. And then fifth place was Alice Gaggi from Italy. And then...
sorry. You're going to keep going?
No, go
10.
ahead.
Okay. I was going to say the women's race was kind of all over the place. Like in terms of the actual race itself, like on the men's side, Robert and Remy and Philemon like went out, they stayed out other than Remy dropping. Like those two were in the lead from the beginning. They won the race. The women's race was totally different. So Floria from, actually, I don't know where she's from. Probably should have Romania. Yeah. And Valeris from Kenya, they took the race out like pretty hard comparatively. If you look at their splits from the first climb, Floria took it out in 58 minutes and Valeris was 59, so just behind her. And then Sophia was pretty close to them, not too far back, but a little bit back. She was 59.27. But I think she was in fifth place for the first half of the climb and then just slowly kind of moved her way into third place. And the two women who were fourth and fifth, Yao Miao and Alice Gaggi, they went out in 64 minutes. So they were 5 minutes behind the two lead women at the top of that climb there. And they just ran the second half of the race like lights out. They ran just as fast as Sophia did for most of the splits. And that's just like insane to me. That race can be run in so many different ways. But those two just ran such a smart race, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just going down the results a little bit more, because a lot of people are going to know these names. Nike Brinkman was in sixth. Big, strong pre-race favorite, especially if you were a betting person. And then Floria Monica from Romania. She actually ended up at 7th. So she held on to a top 10, but that is a far way to drop back after such a big climb in the beginning. Our very own Ali Mack was 8th. Emma Pooley was 9th, and Lucy Marigui was 10th. But yeah,
Talk about
I mean,
consistency.
Yeah,
that woman
definitely.
she's like won the race like 2 or 3 times, and she's been in the top 10 countless times.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even Yao Miao and Alice Gaggi, they were behind, what's it called? Ali Mack too.
Yeah.
Like just barely, but they
20
were.
seconds.
Yeah.
Joyce went out a little bit slower than Sophia. She and Sophia were kind of like 3rd, 4th for a while there. But yeah, it was the race was kind of all over the place for a while, because Floria held the lead for quite some time, and then just kind of slowly died the last half. And Sophia and Joyce didn't overtake her until like 13K to go or something.
Yeah, so almost a little less than halfway to go, and it was kind of wild because Sophia, like EmKay said, started in like 5th place, slowly moved her way up, and just looked really good, like on the whole red line, with Joyce right behind her. And you were kind of just wondering, like, are they both going to hold on? Is one of them going to surge soon? Because at one point they were like 45 seconds apart, etc. And when Sophia passed Monica on the live stream, it was almost within like maybe 90 seconds that Joyce passed her too. And you're like, oh crap, like this is a race for sure. Like these two women are just hammering it. And it honestly was on the last climb that Sophia going into descending. It's kind of like a rolling descending, and then it finally descends, but she just turned it on. And when they interviewed her at the end of the race, she was like, I just didn't want to leave anything to chance. Like I was hurting, but all I could hear was people were behind me. And she ended up beating Joyce by nearly 4 minutes. So she was freaking hammering that whole last downhill, which was really cool. Yeah, it's pretty funny because I think back to our previews, and Sophia was always like, we kept mentioning Grayson, which that was a notable person that didn't end up showing up. But I mean, even Dylan was like, oh, Grayson for the win. Grayson is going to be the American to win, if she shows up. And then we chatted a lot about Judith and Nienke. And then Sophia and Ali, I feel like naturally we grouped them together. I think maybe characteristically they race a little bit similar. They're very aggressive. And we're like, yeah, and Sophia and Ali will be around. But like the races, Nienke, Grayson, and Judith. And Grayson then, isn't able to show up. And then Judith the day before doesn't show up. And so you're like, oh, naturally you're like, Nienke's going to run away with it.
Nienke's Polaris.
Nienke and Polaris, they're going to fight, and the course record's going down. Little did we know Sophia, man, would end up being the American hero, and she's the one that gets the overall win. I just think that's so cool, and I think this is her greatest performance. Mont Blanc was already huge. That should have been enough for us to have her in the conversation looking back retrospectively, but they are very different races. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. I think
that just the fact that like Sophia doesn't have a background in track or on the roads, like stuff like, and that's kind of what I think myself, probably you, and like many others, is what we kind of push. I would say at the front of this race, like a lot of these women are very, very fast on flat stuff. And Sophia's an Olympian in Nordic skiing. So obviously she's got this crazy VO2 max. She's got crazy aerobic capacity. But like, I just never expected her to be able to run that fast. I knew she was fast, but I wasn't ready. Like, to me, 2:53 in this race, like what could she do in a half marathon flat?
Yeah, no, 100%. No, I would definitely agree with that. I think also she came in a little quiet. Like even in our pre-interview, she was telling us,
fun.
I just want to have fun. I'm a little tired. And then the press conference the day before, Nienke's coming in with the confidence she rightfully should have. She's a queen. But Sophia was like, I don't know if I could beat Nienke. Literally, there's like an actual quote. She's like, I don't know if I'm strong enough to beat Nienke. Comes out and runs this time. And it's obviously that EmKay had not a great day for her. I mean, this isn't close to what she ran in her first ever. This was her second trail race after, and she was under 3 hours. But even if EmKay was feeling good, I think it would have been a battle with her and Sophia. It's an incredible time.
Because she just ran faster than EmKay did on this course. So wow, I'm still just like blown away by this. And sorry, Sophia, we don't want to like discount your performance at all. We're just amazed and like in awe. You are awesome.
Yeah.
I would say the second big surprise to me is definitely Alice Gaggy. Like I just, fifth place is huge. I would say that's definitely her best performance, and it's maybe ever, but definitely her best performance since she was 2013 world champ at the World Mountain Running Championships before they were like combined like they are today. And yeah, she ran such a smart race. Like Yao Miao got second at Mont Blanc Marathon. So her in the top 5 like makes sense to me. Valeris was second here last year. Like Joyce has run this race many times and has done really well. But yeah, Alice Gaggy.
This was actually Joyce's first one.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought this was.
I think you're mixing her up with Lucy, maybe.
I am mixing her up with Lucy.
Yeah.
So but yeah, Alice, she was 19th at World Champs like back in June. So this is a huge step back into like the limelight, I would say, for her.
Yeah, no, I definitely, this is her greatest performance so far in her career. And yeah, even just looking back to last year's Sierre Zinal, she was like 14th or 15th. So huge kudos to her for coming back. And she probably ended up taking off like 10 minutes or so from her time last year, just based off her place and stuff like that. But also just like reinforcement that Brooks is coming in hot. I mean, we saw them at Dolomites, and they had a huge, from what I heard, a lot of cheering, like crowds and stuff for the Brooks team. Obviously, they have like a handful of Italians now. And so to see them again, I think they both got 5th with her and Roberto then, 2 Brooks in the top 5. You could just tell that they're coming in with some heat. And yeah, it was really cool to see Alice up there. And yeah, with EmKay, obviously, rough day. And, again, me saying Sophia, if EmKay was feeling good and Sophia battling, that's more respect to Sophia, because EmKay to me is just like cream of the crop. From what we've heard, EmKay just didn't feel good from the start. And I feel like that's pretty evident based on where she was, because she also is. She's like a different aggressive to me. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Monica Floria, like, I had never even heard of this woman, but to freaking take out Sierre Zinal, kudos for having the guts to go after it.
And then hanging on to top 10.
Yeah, and hanging on to top 10, got past around halfway, held on for 7th place, 3:06, great time for her there. And then the return of Ali Mack, 8th place. Yes.
I know she wasn't happy with this race, but I thought that it was actually a great race. Like she ran it differently than I would say like most Ali Mack races kind of go. She was not in the lead, at the beginning. She took it out in 1:03:53. So she was up there with like around Miao Yao, Alice Gaggy, and like 2 minutes, a minute behind EmKay. And there was like a whole slew of women that were like kind of all in the 64-minute range for that first split. And then she ran just as consistently as Yao Miao and Alice, but she just like was like a minute behind them on all the splits. So I thought it was a great race. I know she's not happy with it, but I still think that 8th place at this race is no joke.
Yeah, no, I think so too. It's an incredible performance. And to me, this kind of establishes, I don't think Ali Mack was ever like gone, but she was like in a slightly different form at World Champs than maybe a lot of us were expecting. And to me, this is like, we got it, like Allie's there again. She's feeling good. And from her Instagram, looks like she's going to go base jumping, let off some steam in one of the most beautiful places in the world. And then we'll see her at OCC, which will be awesome. And yeah, I'm trying to, as far as the women's race goes, Sophia Lockley is the first American woman American, actually, we should say that, not American, to win since 2014. Stevie Kremer won in 2014. So it's pretty cool to be one of three women to American women, to ever win this race.
And it's interesting because Pablo Vigil is like an American legend in terms of Sierre Zinal. He won the race like so many times, had the course record. Sophia is the third American woman to win this race, but Pablo is the only American man to win this race. Yes. And that was years ago. And like we had American women win this race in 2010, 2014, and now in 2023. So like American sub ultra women, absolutely crushing. Let's keep it up.
Yes. And also Pablo is the only American to ever repeat a win. There's not a lot of many repeat winners in general. Yeah. But yeah, he won the race 4 times in a row. Talk about figuring a course out.
Yeah. And he won it the first time he won it, and then he lost the next year, and then he won 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
So yeah,
wild.
No joke. This race, honestly, like kind of, I did not see a lot of it coming, but it delivered. It was a great race. I don't know that there's anything else that needs to be said about this race. It is on YouTube though, if you want to watch the live stream, if you're just like interested. That was the 4th race in the Golden Trail World Series. And the next race is September 16th, Pikes Peak Ascent here in the US, followed the next weekend by the,
next World Cup race.
Mammoth Trail Fest
is
the weekend after Pikes Peak Ascent, and those are the last 2 races in the World Series. And the next World Mountain Running Association World Cup race, which Sierre Zinal is also a part of, is September 2nd, Vertical Nisego Climb in Italy.
Yes, that'll be super interesting. Nisego is like a very classic historical race in Europe, especially in Italy, but it's also the same week as UTMB, so it'll be curious to see like who shows up. I'm sure it'll be all the short course specialists. Maybe we'll see VK world champion Andrea Mayer there as well. But yeah, I think the Sierre Zinal, insane. Congrats again to Sophia Lockley. One heck of a historic run and just year so far. I was thinking about it, and I need to obviously fact check myself, but I think Maud Mathis is the only other athlete, male or women, men or women, to win Mont Blanc and Sierre Zinal in the same year. I don't know if the full triple has been done. If anyone has done it, it's probably been Killian, where it's like Zagama, Mont Blanc, Sierre Zinal, like the big 3. But yeah, besides Maud Mathis, no one else comes to mind, because that's 2 really just like huge wins in a year.
Yeah, I'm sure that Killian has run Mont Blanc Marathon, but like I can't think of like a recent Mont Blanc Marathon that he was a part of.
Yeah,
Zagama
exactly.
Obviously is like a staple. Sierre Zinal is a staple in his calendar, but like, yeah, so it's probably Maud, but I'm sure somebody will fact check us on that. Cool. So obviously Dani and I are training hard. We're headed off to OCC actually this weekend. This episode will come out on Friday. Dani and I leave on Sunday. And so we kind of thought about doing preview episodes and stuff on our own. But kind of the more we thought about it, I had Dani do the women's preview for World Champs short trail, because I did not want to be a part of that. And so we kind of decided same thing for OCC. So we are actually going to have some co-hosts take over for us, and we're very excited about it. We're going to have the Kimber Maddox and the Max King on here to do a preview episode, and maybe also a post-race episode. It just kind of depends on timing and stuff. And we're very excited for you guys to get to listen in on that.
Yeah, we thought it just might be weird. And also ask yourself, would you want to like preview your own biggest race of the year? Nah, dog. Hate that. So we're so excited. We thought long and hard. So we really hope that you guys are really going to enjoy it. We know you will. Kimber Maddox and Max Keen. Kimber got 4th last year at OCC in an incredible run. And Max Keen, I mean, to me, he's kind of like the sub ultra Keen of American sub ultra running in a way. He's just very versatile, has been around the block quite a long time. So yeah, they'll be releasing their preview episode the week before the race, I believe. So just keep an eye out for that. And then also keep an eye out for EmKay and I. We're going to be doing something with Freetrail with Dylan Bowman the day after OCC. Not sure where it's going to be distributed, whether it's on the Sub Hub podcast or not. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. At least it'll be on YouTube. Cool. So now that we got that handled, last thing, we just want to talk. EmKay, what are you excited about for UTMB week? We're both headed off this weekend.
Other than racing, I'm very excited to race because this is my first time doing like the whole UTMB week madness. I think the thing that I am most excited for is watching Ruth Croft at UTMB. Ruth Croft is like a sub ultra queen, and like she has been doing sub ultras for way longer than Dani and I even probably knew about sub ultras, and was very good at them too, and has recently in the last 2-3 years like moved up in distance quite substantially. She won Western States last year. She won Les Templiers, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, she won Les Templiers.
She's won a couple times.
Yeah, and I know it's, you should never bet against Courtney Dauwalter, like truly, but I think that if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Ruth Croft. I'm so excited about that.
I didn't write this down in our notes, but I am so excited for that too. I was talking to someone about that yesterday, about who you're most excited about or which race. And we have another sub ultra queen that's in UTMB, Blondine.
Yes. Oh my
And
gosh.
so I feel like this could be over generalizing, but for EmKay and I and a lot of people who are in our space, we have like our own set of queens and keens that we really look up to because, you know, we run the same races. We know how they feel. We've gone through that before. And I feel like the people who love ultras also have their own keens and queens. And trust me, I love Courtney Dauwalter, but yeah, there's a special place in my heart for these sub ultra queens moving up. So yeah, to me, I'm like Blondine, Ruth, you know, bringing that heat from these shorter distances, going against Courtney. I just think it's going to be awesome because they race aggressively too. So I think it's going to be fun up in front. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I'm really excited about is the amount of Americans in specifically OCC, but also CCC as well. Like on the men's side, we have 5 men listed in the elite category for OCC, and on the women's side, we have nine women in the elite category. So that's just the elites, not including, you know, just like general classification stuff. And I think that's so cool. I think with the qualifiers, that kind of has maybe motivated more people to like go to the actual race because they go to canyons or they go to desert rats or whatever and they qualify. So it's like, okay, I'll go. Whereas like otherwise maybe they just like wouldn't think to sign up with just their score. But yeah, I'm excited about that.
I am too. I think last year we went 3, 4, 6, I think, with me, Kimber, and Allie. And
I think that wasn't Ashley Brosnan like 11th? She was like just outside the top 10, I think.
Yeah, she was like in the top 15. Yeah. But yeah, do we beat that this year? You know, if we're looking at cross country points, I'm super excited for that. I honestly, it kind of opened my eyes just looking at the elites list. Like the men's OCC list, we need some more people in that group there. Yeah. The women are coming in hot. We do have a group of men, but I like Cole Watson, I would say, like, has been doing more longer stuff now. He is quite fast. But yeah, we have Jeshrin Small. We have some great guys in there. But I was a little taken aback by that. I thought there was more men that were going to be in that. And then on the vein of USA, man, we are packing the heat this year. Yeah. Like I would say most of the community agrees this is like round 2 for World Championships in a different way. It's like at World Championships, it's just country. Whereas like UTMB week, it's a combo of like country and brand. There's like 2 fights going on, which I really appreciate. But yeah, UTMB, just a couple of top names: Jim Walmsley, Zach Miller, Tyler Green, Tim Tollefson. That's mega heat right there. Courtney Dauwalter, Taylor Nowlin, Leah Yingland, Sabrina Stanley. I don't think Sabrina and Courtney have raced since Hard Rock a couple of years ago. And then CCC, our very own Helen, just won Speed Goat 50K. Allison Baca, top American at World Champs. Hannah Allgood, Addie Bracy, and then Dakota Jones dropping down. Drew Hillman, Eric LaPuma, Jonathan Rea. Man,
Drew Hillman and Eric LaPuma, I'm stoked on that.
Yeah, that's so sick. Yeah, so I don't know. I could see if everyone like has a really good day, this might be like the most top 10s overall, I think.
Yeah.
But we'll see. A lot has to line up. These are big races. It's a reason why there's so much hype around them.
Yeah. And I feel like CCC and OCC, the last, like UTMB, the Americans we used to like maybe 1 or 2 people in the top 10 to 15, but like CCC, OCC on the men's side, not very many men seem to be able to break like the top 20 even. So it's exciting to see these names because I think it's going to be a good year for us.
I think so too. Yeah. It's just hopefully it all lands. So yeah, I think I have one more thing I'm excited about. I think I'm just really excited to see all my friends.
Yes.
I feel like it's just such a cool meeting point for everyone. And like the World Championships, you get to cheer on the different distances once your race is done. But even if your race is later on, like you still feel that support. And I just think it's a really cool week in the sport. And it's a whole week long. So it's a cool event to be a part of.
Yeah. And no promises on us not doing anything. Also, I bought some little tiny mics. So we might be putting up some reels, maybe, probably not like full podcast stuff, but we might be like interviewing some people as the week goes on if we're just like happen to stumble into some situations. So definitely follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is in the show notes because, yeah, we might be doing some little tiny mic live stuff.
Cool. Well, yeah, thanks all. Talk to you in a few weeks and follow the Sub Hub, subscribe, like, comment, and we'll see you later. Just a reminder for you guys that this episode is brought to you by Never Second. Check out the show notes for a link to their website, their Instagram page, and use code SUBHUB25 at checkout to get 25% off of your purchase. That's SUBHUB25.